happy to be at UBC, and I thank you so much for giving women this priority the whole week.
The whole week,
for
yes.
women. That's great. Our Lowell Girls School is found just adjacent to Simbe Estates. It's Nachirebe after Maya, and we are there. We are at the hill, very comfortable, conducive environment for education, and specifically for the girl child.
Right, for the girl child. Well, speaking about the girl child, I would love to know, the very first question I would love to know is how you got to join the teaching sector, because I believe at the time there was also some bit of controversies on how a lady starts, teaching, and also most of the sectors have been dominated by the men for quite a long time, except in the recent years. So how did you get to join, and what inspired you to join?
Yeah, so there are two things. One is compliments, and the second one is the religious background. When I was in high school, we used to go for discussions, Barara High, we could go to Nyamtanga, and wherever I could discuss, they could say, wow, those boys could clap hands. I said,
you were in a single school?
Maybe, yes, I was in a single school. So maybe I could say, maybe I know how to teach. And girls at school could say, yeah, come and discuss for us every day other time. And they say, you know how to teach.
Right.
And maybe I thought they were not genuine comments, but when I used to go outside, I could teach, and these boys discussing for them, they say, yeah, they clap hands. I say, maybe I'm a good teacher.
Maybe.
Yes. So the other background is the religious one, and in religion, we are told every word that you teach a person, you get rewards. Wherever he acts upon it, he or she. And the reverse is true. If you do something, you teach a person maybe witchcraft, every time she does it, you are also getting on your account.
Okay, now I've added something new to what we learned.
Yes, so every person that murder another one in this world, Abel gets something on his account. He was the first person to murder. Cain killed Abel. I think it is now Cain.
It's Cain.
It's Cain who killed Abel. Yes. Yeah. So every time whoever kills Abel on his account is getting
Cain on Cain's account. There is another atrocity added.
So I said, why? How many lives have I impacted now? The kind of words I've said, the people I've taught, very many. At one time in a school, you have 1,000 students. Right. You're talking to them, you are guiding them, so it is very rewarding, and I think I have so many rewards.
Great.
Chantal, I can assure you.
Great. So the question would be, in your teaching, now that you're a head teacher, do you still teach, or you're now into the administrative part only? Yes,
please, we teach. According to the education standards, we are supposed to have at least 2 lessons, the head teachers, the Ministry of Education standards. But then, even then, our teaching is not only being in class, but we mentor every day.
Right.
We talk to these girls, we guide and counsel, formally and informally. Every day, other day, you are teaching. Even the way you walk, you are teaching someone how they walk, the way you eat, the words you are talking. So teaching goes beyond being in class. Yes, it includes so many things. So I've seen very many girls admiring the way we dress, they dress like that. The way you talk, the way you walk. So you find they are holding the fork the way you do.
The way you hold it, yes.
So their teaching is not being in class following that lesson plan, but it goes beyond. And we even encourage teachers, even if you are in class, it's not about that lesson plan alone, but students should be able to learn from you what you are doing. Are you walking to talk? Right. Or you teach them something different and you are doing another.
Well, some say, do as I say, not as I do.
As I do. That one also we've had, but that really it's not proper for a teacher.
That leads me to another conversation on the role of women when it comes to the education sector. Having seen the transition of having more women joining the teaching industry and some taking leadership roles, what are some of the roles that women play that cannot be ignored? What uniqueness do the teaching sector to the teaching industry that that had been missing at a point when there were few or none in the industry?
Yes. So thank you for the question. The women have done a lot. First of all, the women don't teach from the class. Let us look at the mother. This is the mother from home. We learn from home most of the things.
Right.
So when we come to school, we are just added in or own what we have.
Yes.
Yes. So these women have played a very big role coming to the formal system, but they have been there behind. Because they say educating a woman, a nation educated. So these people have been there and they have been teaching, but informally. But now that we are in the system, what have we changed? What uniqueness have we brought?
Yes.
So that women touch, the motherly touch has come in. We do the guidance and counseling to both, by the way.
I've barely seen, in schools, I've barely seen counselors who are actually male. Barely.
Yes, we are usually women. So that women touch, even the look of the school. When you look at our compound, you can say there is a womanist touch here.
That is very true, yes. You can walk into a house and know there is a woman
I
or not.
don't want to mention schools, but there is a school that has just been given a female head teacher. But just in one term, there is a very big difference.
Right.
They can paint, the designs, the whatever. It has changed really, and we need it. Real education is environment contributes a lot.
A lot. That is very true.
To our education, to our mindset, to etc. Even about the feeding, we mind it because we are mothers. So you cannot really serve what you don't feed on, what you feel is not going to be nutritious to the students. And the other thing, unless that the world is changing, the women have been very trustworthy. Yes.
Yeah,
if
that
you
is, that
entrust
is very
a woman
true.
with the institution, you know the money is going to be there. It is very rare. And really, it is less of an integral woman to find that now money is lost because there is a head mistress. It has not been heard of a woman. Yeah, it might be a new trend which I play, and I encourage my fellow ladies to carry on that integrity, that we are putting the touch on schools because we are there, we are thought to be very, very faithful.
Right. Well, it reminds me of a particular head teacher who gave out false results to her candidates, and it was rather sad. I don't know what she was trying to do, but it depicts a whole different picture of the trust that has been given to the women. So, having explored some of the uniqueness that women bring, so now we know that a woman is necessary in all environments, and we contribute a lot.
We do.
Now, what are some of the challenges you have faced as an individual, but also some of the female teachers and leaders in the education sector, you have seen them face? What are some of those challenges?
Yeah, we have had challenges as any other sector, but then these challenges, we use them as opportunities. But currently, the pay might not really call someone to become a teacher. You might fear. It has been there, but then we are trying to maneuver. What inspires us more is the social capital and not this money. When anchor is a presenter like Chantal here, you feel, you are satisfied other than that. Yes, but as per the pay is still low. Financial education is not very rewarding to the women and other women. That's why you find someone is teaching but is putting in some application somewhere
else. Yes.
If it goes through, then the education system is left, which is not very, very good, but it happens that it's not very, very well remunerated, but we are satisfied with that. And sometimes we have to find, you find this is a head teacher but is having some business somewhere. So we don't concentrate much. It becomes a challenge because education, as per the World Bank, the development of a nation cannot be greater than the education of its people.
Right, right.
The development of a nation cannot be greater than the education of its people. So who is in education? Are they focused? Are they doing what they are supposed to do? Do they know about the sustainable development goals that the whole world is aiming at? Are they settled? Are they really doing what they are supposed to do? That's why you find some teachers go less than their profession. They compromise their professional ethics. It happens. And most of us, we are teachers, but we don't teach our children where we teach. You cannot afford
They can't afford it, yes, that is very true.
So you find you are taking her in somewhere else. So it becomes a challenge in the education system.
Right. It leads me to how best then can we have support rendered to the females in the education sector?
Yes. The government is trying, is putting up very many programs that we can embrace.
Right.
Of course, even if they don't come specifically to women, like to education, women in education, but they are for women. So we embrace them. The Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development is putting up very many programs that we can embrace. There is wealth creation, it has been there. There is Entandikwa, they've been Emyuga, very many programs. There is UNEPI, Women in Entrepreneurship program. It is at the Ministry of Gender. So we can embrace such programs government has put in place and we can be helped. Then again, there is teacher loans in the banks. They can give you the loan, you do something, and they keep cutting some of the money. So I feel at least some interventions have been made, though not very, very specific to the female teachers in schools. Yes.
Let's talk about navigating spaces that have been dominated by men. Growing up, hearing about a head teacher who was female, you would start wondering, will she manage? You would have all these questions. But then again, well, with personalities like you, we have seen that
it's possible.
It's possible, and we shouldn't have doubts. We have seen great results. So how do you manage to navigate a space that was dominated by men, but also there is still myths and misconceptions about women in some of those spaces? How do you navigate those challenges?
Yes, we are trying. At least the media is helping. That is one. You people, you are helping to bring up women, and they know these women can do something. And again, we are trying to develop our careers. And we have role model women who are coming up here to do things. Right. Today, if you look at our government, women are at the top.
The top, yes.
Yes. And there are so many initiatives that have been put in place. We are like the 1.5 point at university. And I feel really women have been empowered so much.
Right.
So we are there, we are placing ourselves, and we are making ends meet. And we are trying to be there to happen so that people can know we are there and we perform. So when we were growing up, we saw women like Miriam Matembe was very good. I used to admire her. And then we had Winnie Byanyuma. They could be there on Capital Gang. They talk, even if some English I wasn't understanding. But I would be very inspired. I feel I should also do that. So we have really tried to fill the space that is there. And these days, you know, Chantal, as if women are getting so much empowered than men, that you are finding that women are doing a lot of things and men are not being there to be seen. You find like at school, 80% of students, they are being paid for by their mother.
By their mothers, yes.
This single motherhood has come up, and I don't think it is the very, very good thing. But women are being there and the men are becoming somehow silent. I don't know. So it means, I don't know whether are we over-empowered? That well, overtaking, I don't know.
Well, the conversation usually is centered on there is so much emphasis that has been given to the girl child, a lot of empowerment to the girl child. And the unfortunate bit is there has been little to no attention given to empowering the boys to match up with the girls that are being empowered. And I think that's where you highlight the challenge. We have very many empowered women, but how many empowered men do we have, and who is actually empowering these men?
Yes. And these days you cannot talk about women that maybe women are background, whatever. Women are empowered, women have money, women are doing things, you know. And I'm very happy if I see a woman driving, I even pray for her. Hey, may God put barak in her driving and etc. So really we are coming up, we are not coming up, we have come up. And in the recent graduation, there were females were more than males. So as lead women, you know, we are mothers, we are leaders, and we are leading both male and female. And being a Women's Week, as we called it, we need to balance this wheel. These people should come up. Both
we need to now see how to bring the boys up.
The male and female. Women are complaining that men are not responsible, they are not helping.
But who's raising the irresponsible?
Who is raising the men? It is us. So it goes back to us.
Well, we could have a conversation really that is deeper on that, because at a particular point, a woman alone may not be able to raise a man alone at a particular point. But still talking about the men and the women, and now away from government and some of the interventions that have been there, how can the men in the education sector best support women to be able to, one, to enable them perform even better at their roles, because we've acknowledged it is necessary to have women in the education sector. And we also need to look at it from the angle of we are complementing each other. So how can now these men support the ladies in the sector?
Yes, we need the men. I lead the women organization as introduced, Uganda Muslim Women Vision, but we have 20% men. You know, when you are women, these female tendencies come in. How is she dressed? How is the bag? Is it to send? She has not made up very well. Right. Small things become issues, yet they are not. So really, we need the men folk to come and support us in discussions, in meetings, in planning. And sometimes, you know, we have our days. We call them our days. And here you are not thinking so much. And the tensions are high,
up there, your hormones are fluctuating.
You may even say something and tomorrow you are apologizing, but when you were there and you said it. So really we need the men on board. We need them to support us with their knowledge, with their comfort. You know, I'm a counselor, a professional counselor, psychosocial counselor. But then women like to be counseled by men most of the time.
That's interesting. We've also had stories of when you go to the salon and the person working on you is a man, it's better. We've had women look for male gynecologists.
Gynecologists, it's what I was going to. Once there is a male gynecologist, you feel, yeah, Dr. So-and-so is there, today we are okay. So it defeats some of our understanding. Like for us Muslims, we may think, let girls go to school, they treat their fellow women so that they are not seen maybe by men who are not lawful to see them. But then it's vice versa. We need men on board. They should come, they should give support to us.
Okay. And now just to go a little bit personal.
Yes, please.
One, I would love to hear one or two stories that of impact, especially on your life, and or memories or something very memorable within the last 20 years. One or two things that you'd point at and say, this was a memorable moment for me as a woman in the education sector. It could have been someone who impacted on you. It could have been an activity. It could have been an achievement that you got to as a woman.
Yes, thank you. There have been many. I don't know, I'm lucky. First of all, when I got news that I've passed Senior 6, I'm joining Makerere University on government, I was very happy. Very happy because I had no hopes of going for higher education unless I get government. And I keep telling the students this story, and I tell them most of us come from humble families. Please read, and you will like it when you get to higher heights. So it was a memorable moment, and I feel it was very good in the education career. And me, I'm an educationist by choice, not by chance. Most people fail to get other courses and say, let me go for education.
We had that conversation before we even got on air, how people think education is for those that would have failed. But my question also is, how do you get taught by someone who failed?
Who failed, and make you successful and make you an engineer, doctor, etc. So really my story is that I'm an educationist by choice and not by chance. It came, I gave it first choice and I liked it. And I even went for masters. It is education and education and education. I like teaching, I liked impacting people's lives. And I like it when someone comes and say, you said it is, I worked upon it and I'm like this. That's when I feel fulfilled. And even if I don't get a salary, I really feel I've impacted on people's lives.
My other question would be, how was the perception of your family, your friends and relatives, bearing in mind that, for example, when it comes to professions like teaching, back then they would think you probably failed somewhere, that's why you're going for education. You couldn't hit certain points, that's why you went for education. Just like if I woke up in the morning and I said I want to be an artist, a singer, back then, those years, I think my father would throw me out of the house. I'm thinking, because he never believed that you could make it. It was perceived as something unserious or work for unserious people. Did it ever look like work? Maybe it actually did not look like work. So, one, there is also the fact that teachers are not paid well. Sometimes it's a concern as well for the parents. So what was the perception of your people, the parents, your siblings, and those who cared to know when you told them you're joining the education sector?
Yes, you are right. Our society has been like that. They have not been valuing education so much.
Right.
So they say, but you were bright. Why did you do education?
You realize it's from the perception of
really,
you failed.
This is a but I told them it is a passion. It is I like teaching and I know I teach and people have passed. And even my mother said, okay, if I had money, I would pay for another course. But now that it is government, you go and teach. Study. You know? And I said, what is this? But me, I like teaching. So I had to array half years by being very active in all the other fields. Right. So that I happen. When I go to TV, I send her greetings. When I come to the radio, I send her greetings. I say, yeah, Mama, I'm there. Right. So when you have projects, we are moving, we are going to Nairobi, we are going somewhere, you say, Mom, this is education. Right. Yeah, I'm going because I'm a teacher. So I was going
to ask what they think about it now vis-a-vis back then, the perception they had. Right. I think right now they can say better and different.
Even my siblings, they too, they did education. After I had gone through, and you know, she came to Makere, put on that gown, and so even the siblings said, we are going for education.
But by then the perception had changed.
It has changed completely. And my first placement was at university, Islamic University in Mbale. So they said, yeah, she's a lecturer, not a teacher. Teaching, changing the other word from teacher to lecturer, but still I'm doing the same thing.
Because you're teaching, it's all teaching. Whether you're lecturing anything, yes.
That's another challenge of education. We take long to grow. And changing titles. You know, becoming a head teacher, I've taught for 20 years. You can imagine. Right. But for you can do for 5 years and say, senior chief or news anchor. You know. But in education, the ranks take long. Becoming even a head teacher, they can give you that post when you are going to retire. So
you have like 2 years or 3 years to retire, and that's what they're giving you the position.
Yes.
And you know, speaking about that, how do we now make it better? What are some of maybe the suggestions that you could be having that would make it better to avert some of these challenges? Because you've talked about growth, which is very important. One, in someone's personal life, but in their career as well. Especially for someone who is passionate. I believe it's demotivating to be in the same place. You feel stagnant at a particular point. So how do we make it better in the industry?
In the industry, yes, we need to review. That is one, we can make reviews, and reviews have been made. At least today in the curriculum, we can see. And then other reviews can go on being made so that you can see how we better this teacher. Right. Then the other thing is being a teacher, but then you add on some value to yourself. Yes. For example, going for further education. For example, doing other community programs that can make you really happen. And you are not just a classroom teacher, but you are impacting on other people's lives. Growth is very important in professionals. It really brings some encouragement and some enthusiasm to think more, to work more. That's why I said complimenting is very important. For people, when you are on this media, they keep complimenting, even on Twitter after here, they'll post, hey, you have done etc. You know, so we are lacking some of that. And sometimes even when you are dressed smartly and someone doesn't tell you you are smart, you really feel, is this dress really worthy 200,000? I bought it. So compliments, I encourage people to really do them. They keep us going. So this is the education. We need to be helped to grow. To grow, yes. In the ministry, we have to be helped to grow. And instead of letting people divert from the education sector to other sectors, we need to encourage others. We need to benchmark to go to other places. We work and change life.
Great. Let's talk about the girl child as we're closing into the end of this discussion. Let's talk about the girl child. One, you know, we've seen transitions where women are performing well in sciences. Now I'm talking about STEM, performing well in sciences. But back then there was the challenge of girls are performing more in arts than in sciences. We had those reports, especially after the release of final, say USC or UCE exams. They would tell you, no, girls have performed poorly in sciences. But we've seen a bit of a transition. How do we even make it better and interest these girls to make sure that, because that's where we're headed. It's science, it's technology, it's engineering, it's mathematics, and at the end of the day, we need to be competitive enough if we should grow as ladies, and we can't ignore the fact that if I should perform well in the engineering sector, I have to have the merit.
Yes.
So how do we now make it better for the girls and encourage them? You know, so at a particular point, the art side gets a little more comfortable than the mathematics. I'm thinking the integration and the disintegration I did at a certain level, and I'm thinking, would I sit in class and do it again? I'm not so sure. I would literally need discussions. I would need some help.
Yeah, right.
So how do we encourage these girls, to persevere and not choose the easy way out? Because I believe at a point, some of these things are the easy way out.
Yeah, right. Thank you so much for that analysis. Our society has been having stereotypes that we have tried to fight. For example, if they say doctor, you are expecting a man to come. And if they say nurse, obviously a woman is coming. Engineer, you wait. And at one time I said, Mom, the engineer is there. He said, so the engineer is supposed to be a man.
Apparently.
So these stereotypes, we are trying to kill them slowly. I'd like to talk about Lowell Girls is a girls' school. And when you are in a girls' school, a girl must do literally every other thing that a boy can do. That's why they are performing even better. Talking in my case, the girls are performing very better in sciences because they are alone, they are not competing. Sometimes when we are in a mixed sales structure, you leave some things for them. Can't you do that? So even when they are here, they are specified, we have to do engineering, we have to do everything for ourselves. They are inspired. So even the level of exposure should be increased. They should look at the world and know. That's why this new curriculum is good. For us at Lowell Girls, we have the cyber technology. These girls are studying practicals literally from the computer. They are seeing everything. They are mixing chemicals from the computer.
Interesting.
And they are doing it themselves. So we are producing so many engineers because they are not leaving it to anyone else. They have to do everything. The sciences, they are doing it themselves. The mathematics, of course, you saw in the news, we are number 4 in Uganda as Lowell Girls. And these are girls. So real, and I assure you today, the USC is going to be released.
Yes,
watch
we
the
expect.
Space.
So I from what I pick when it comes to encouraging girls to get more inclined to science and technology and engineering, we need to make sure that there is a conducive environment for them, and then encouragement, and then also getting rid of the stereotypes. Now, 2 last questions. 1, how do we encourage this girl out there who would like to join the education? She has the passion to teach. And also the fact that you talked about, it's not just teaching of going to class, but there is projects that can be done. It's getting more diverse. And someone may not even know how diverse is education. I mean, all someone can think about is, I'm studying, I'm teaching English and literature, I'm coming to class teaching, and I'm getting out.
You can teach anything. Whereas we go and teach in camps, refugee camps, because we are teachers.
And some do not know that you can do that.
They don't know that you can do that. So education is wider, please. Don't take it as classroom, chalk, full stop. Education is wider.
I also know someone who is into the education sector, but they do the international curriculum. And you know what they do? They don't teach even in Uganda. 1 year they are in Kenya, another year they are in Rwanda, they're in Djibouti. Yes, they have those transfer programs. And people do not know that these teaching opportunities are even existent. Now, the very last question as we close. As a mother, as a wife, but also as a head teacher, those are a number of responsibilities, some of which I've not even talked about. You've talked about you travel to different parts of the country and different parts of the world. Now, how do you get to balance, as a woman now, how do you get to balance your career, your family, and any other aspect of your life?
Yeah, right. Thank you. As a woman, I think naturally we are versatile. We can do very many things at a go. You might be cooking, you are carrying a baby on your back, and maybe you are talking on phone, you are doing so many things. You are cooking as you are.
We can multitask, yes.
We can multitask, and we are really trained to do that. I assure you, a woman can do very well the education lead roles and then do the family roles, because as we educate, we are mentoring, even your children are there, you are concerned that they are seeing what you are doing and they have to emulate you. So it keeps us going because we really have timetables. You can do this and that lesson is not yours. We are switched very easily because it is the timetable, because it is the mentoring, because it is what we are supposed to do. And I encourage everyone to have that in mind. You shouldn't bend on one side, but you should try to balance the wheel of life.
Right.
Yes, you must mind your health, you mind the family, you mind the job, and you are successful in all those fields, and you raise up very disciplined children.
Last but not least, the final one. Is there a lady in the education sector that you look at and you're like, that lady has done really well for this education sector, and I'm very grateful to her?
Yes. I'm very grateful to Hajat Aisha Lubega. She has been in Nabsunsa for 30 years, and whoever comes to Nabsunsa is identified. Even if we are seated 10, you can tell that this girl was from Nabsunsa.
Right.
The way she mentored them, the self-esteem they had, they have everything. So this lady, I really carry her as my role model, and we are continuing with her legacy at Lowell Girls School.
Right.
So really, I adore her as my role model.
Great. Thank you so much for being a part of the conversation. Now, I have been discussing with Hajat Aisha Namukwaya, who has 20 years of experience in the education profession, and is also the chairperson Uganda Muslim Women Vision. She also happens to be the head teacher of Lowell Girls, and I'm glad that we got to have this conversation. I am hoping that you have picked something, one or two. If you want to join the education sector, she says, yes, you can actually do it. You can diversify. There is a lot to explore in there. Someone says, this is Anthony Ndeme, says, good morning, Uganda. I'm Anthony Ndeme from Chira. I would like to thank Hajat Aisha Namukwaya for supporting girls in education and women development. Thank you. And well, that leads us to the closure of this part of the show. And coming up is going to be Ruben with sports updates.